This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
Hello and welcome to episode 25 of Too Old to Game. I'm your fear-filled host, Dave Oster, joined as always by Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And the original man-child himself, Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
As you can see, or maybe for those listeners at home, Ricky Widmer can't even give us the time of day because he got a Switch for Christmas.
I looked at the camera and waved today.
He's just playing Smash Bros. Right now.
I also have to announce at the beginning of this podcast, I have officially added my newest platinum to my trophy rack.
Good on you.
Platinumed God of War on Christmas Christmas Eve, I think it was.
Yeah.
Platinum that, and I have finished all of the Spider-Man DLC.
Oh, wow.
And now just have to New Game Plus it in Ultimate difficulty to get back to 100% in that.
What does that button do?
This one?
Yeah, that's square.
It took a screen capture.
Okay, good to know.
Capture taken.
That was a good thing for everybody listening.
Riveting video, riveting audio for all those at home.
Yeah, the little button on the left Joy-Con.
Ricky's still learning his Switch.
Yeah, so now that I have that done, I opened up the Switch, and now the next thing is unlocking all the fighters in Super Smash.
Yep, which is actually going to be our first topic of the day, is the Super Smash Brothers, unlock system and gameplay. Then we're going to spin off to a little bit of Blizzard talk as they are, maybe changing directions as a company coming up and made some interesting moves in the past couple weeks. And then wrapping things up today with some Atlas talk as it made a unhappy announcement basically going, hey, I'm here. Oh, wait, I'm just reskinned. Shit, it's not a good game with bad servers. So let's get into it, though. Super Smash Bros. Is the topic that's got everybody's attention right now for a good reason. Like, it's a great game. It's again, one of the best party games out there. It's easy to get a bunch of people around. But, Ricky, when you brought up how to unlock characters and, the quick way to do it.
Yeah, the quick. Well, I looked it up, and because I remember the one podcast I was listening to, the guy's like, oh, this is how you do it. And I just couldn't remember what it was. You can play the game and just play the game. And then you'll unlock them as you go on.
What a normal person would do.
The quickest game,
Absolutely.
I'm literally doing it right now, is, so you should get 2 players, but I'm doing it with a computer. You have just you guys in there, and you have the one player stand at the absolute edge of the map, and you just run back and forth. That's literally what I'm doing with Kirby. I run to the left, now I'm going to run to the right. And you do this for 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes is up, you kill the other character and win. At the distance that I guess it goes off of distance that you've run across the map, you then go into that same game, die, challenger approaches. You beat him. Then you have to close out of the program, re-enter the program, go into a game, die, challenger, and then keep doing that over and over. So that's what I'm doing.
So you only have to run 20 minutes once.
The video I watched said you were only supposed to do it once. Now,
because they said it's going to take 90 minutes total.
Yeah. So since I'm going against the computer, I've never been able to do it the full 20. Sometimes I've gotten to 10. Sometimes I've gotten to 15. Because the computer does, on the lowest difficulty, kind of fight back and kills itself. But I have gotten... I started last night. I'm at 32 of the 70. And that's with the starters. You get the 8 starters. But I'm at 32. And literally, I'm running back and forth right now. Otherwise, the second quickest way is they have a campaign mode or a classic mode.
Story mode, yeah.
And how they have that worked out is so they have the 8 tiered off. And so example, Mario. I beat it with Mario, I unlock Sonic after beating Sonic. If I beat it with Sonic or Mario again, I can then get Bayonetta. If I do those 3, I get the next one. And you just kind of layer it that way. And it got me thinking. When I played the 64 version, I remember unlocking characters. Yeah, it's probably funny to watching me do this while talking, but... I remember unlocking the characters felt like, oh my God, I'm doing this and it feels cool. It kind of feels like a chore now. And
I was going to say, you're paying for this chore, basically.
Well, I mean, you could play, you
could just play the game and enjoy the game for what it is.
Here's what I'm thinking.
The way it was intended to be done.
And really the reason why people do that is, oh my God, I want to play with people, but I only have these 8 characters unlocked.
Right.
Do you think they need to come up with a mindset of, hey, if you want to unlock them all, you can still do it this way? or do it where, like Mark has brought up, here's DLC. You pay $15, you get it all 70.
Well, Mark, let's bring that up on the show, actually.
Yep. Oh, I wanted to actually only talk about that off show.
I figured that'd be a bold way to do it, so I'm glad that Ricky dropped that in there.
So this is my thought with that. I do agree. It feels like a chore. You're going to spend $60 on this game. For some people, $360 because they're going to buy the system for this game, essentially. Yeah. But that's a different point. So you're going to go ahead and buy this game, and you don't get all your characters. Now, I think that part of this... I don't know, like 10, 20, 15 years ago, whatever you want to say, if you were to have that complaint of, I have to unlock things, people would laugh at you and say, that's video games.
Yep.
What are you talking about?
Is it because of the society we live in, too, where it's kind of instant gratification?
We are
like,
a little bit of instant gratification. You know, that is something we have, and that's something that gaming developers have bought into and have, I would say, made even more prevalent by saying things like, do you want to wait 20 minutes for your castle to get built, or do you want to pay $1 and have your castle get built right now? They have played into it even more, the psychological components to these games. But this is one of these cases. I am not a crazy big fan of DLC, but I've accepted that it exists. I'm all right with it enough. This is one of those times where this is exactly why DLC should exist. They should give you two choices. They should say, hey, here's this thing. There are 62 characters you have not unlocked. You can play the game and you can unlock these 62 characters, or for 10, 15, 20 bucks, whatever it is, you can unlock all of them right now. And you can just have them all. You don't need to play the story if you don't want to. That should be... that's what DLC is made for. That's what all this this isn't really a microtransaction, but this is what it's designed to really be. We're going to make it easy for you if you want. Yeah. Here you go. This is the perfect scenario for it. I would spend 10, 15 bucks on this for all those characters.
The problem it falls into is because, like, me and my sister are two completely different people. Because she was talking like, oh, yeah, I'm playing World of Light, and I'm unlocking them that way. Like, after a while, a new challenger approaches. I feel like this is only a problem for the people like me, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to play World of Light. I'm going to play the game as a solo. But what if I want to play with Dave and Mark? Or I want to play with... other people, they come over and it's like, oh, I only have these 10 fighters.
Or we play World of Light together.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many times did you do that? How many times did you play a game with your friends and, oh, I died, past the controller?
So many times.
Plus, I'm also, with me, it's an extra layer for me because I used to have it where N64, Link was my main. Just give me Link, and Link's my boy. Give me that whirlwind sword. You can never get me to fall off the ledge. But in this one, I'm like, there's so many. I don't want to like get used to one of the starters and then go, oh, wait, this guy is now my main. I want to have them all look and find my main so I can get used to that character and be like, okay, this is my guy or this is my girl moving forward for Super Smash.
Can't even imagine playing
and that's the one that I want to do. Like, I want to figure out my one now and not have to figure it out after I unlock them. Because I almost fell off the edge.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think you make a very good point, though, Mark, about like the cost for instant gratification now in video games. And I think in Super Smash Brothers, I hit the point where I'm like, what would be the right price point to unlock 70 characters? That's a ton.
62.
Well, 62. You start with 8.
Still. 62 characters. I don't think it's a $15 thing. I think like cost for that would probably be somewhere in the like, it's Nintendo. I'm sure they could get away with, how many hours did you say? Like if you speed run this?
If you speed run, it's supposed to be an hour and a half total.
Of what he's doing right now.
Right.
Not the story mode.
Right.
Story mode's like 8 hours?
The story mode is 20 to 60 depending on how good you are at the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, they put in a lot.
Yeah, World of Light is the longest. That's going to be 20 to 60 depending on how good you are at the game. Second fastest is the tiered classic mode. And then the hour and a half is the quickest one of what I'm doing, 20 minutes of it right now, which yet again, if I would have done it with 2 controllers, would have been a little bit quicker, but I didn't have 2 controllers at the time.
Super Smash Bros. Was made by EA, I could see it being...
It would have been DLC. It would have been loot boxes.
I could have seen it either be a loot box
pre-order
system.
Bonus.
Pre-order bonus. Well, there was a pre-order bonus for Super Smash Bros. If you got it before, I forget which date. I think it's Piranha Plant is coming out.
But I think they would have pre-ordered bonus.
But
buy
they-
the
oh,
Ultimate Edition
and
for all the
Well,
characters.
yeah, that's I'm saying like
And
literally
they've already
almost
announced
double the price.
the first DLC of Persona 5 characters.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that like what we would have been looking at would have been almost the cost of another game for all those characters to be unlocked. And at that point, it's like
I'd be like, no.
But then you
I'll
get
just
the
unlock
argument
'em.
too of
$40.
Wait a minute. So I paid
40 to 60.
$60
Yep.
for a game, and now I have to pay an extra
I could see
40,
40, yeah.
$100
Yep.
just to fully get this game.
absolutely.
And then you have that. And that's
I think
the
that
tough
hits
balance.
I think that hits like
That's
40
the
is the
DLC
number in my
line.
mind where it's like because if you come in right at $100, that's the line in the sand for me. It's like okay, $100 you get all 72 characters. And you're
See-
gonna get, the ones that come out
That's
after
that's insane to spend $100 on a game.
But also, Mark.
the time savings.
Yeah.
Well, and Mark and I were talking about this before we did the onside kicks. We recorded that before this one. Another thing that is different, because I mentioned to him, when we were unlocking them in N64 days, it didn't feel like a chore. And Mark went,
Yeah.
but how many characters were there?
You
There
only
weren't 70
unlocked,
characters. It was maybe about
8
like
or
8.
6.
This is like you get half, you unlock half. Or
Yeah.
what if it was like the characters you start with, instead of 8, you start with like 20,
Yep.
and then you only have to unlock 50? What if you started with more, whereas in this one, the ones that you start with are the N64 ones?
I
the
just-
Mario,
I'm cool
the
with
Donkey
that.
Kong, the Kirby, the Link, the Samus,
Yeah.
and Pikachu.
I just
think are
feel
the-
like if you are unlocking more than half of what you are like, so if you're doubling it, if you have 20
Yeah.
characters to begin with, once I have unlocked more or need to unlock 21 or more characters, that's too many.
Man, 21, one over. Mark's drawing the line.
more than
Well,
half
it
the
is.
game.
If I don't have more than half of the game at my disposal,
I
now
say,
it
Ricky,
feels like a
that's-
chore.
And more than half the game. Wasn't that your big complaint about Destiny was you didn't have
Yeah.
half the game on launch?
Well, and here's the argument with that, though, is the counter argument would be you can play the full game. You
Yeah.
get all the modes here. It's
Yep.
just the fighters that you get, you have to unlock. Whereas in Destiny, I felt like
I'd argue that's
the
not the whole
story
game.
was missed. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's arguments to it, but that would be the counter argument is like, we're not hiding any modes from you. You get to play World of Light. You get to play Smash. You get to play Classic Mode. You just got to unlock the fighters. But
Yeah.
really, it's...
Which I'm okay with that to an
but
extent.
What if
Yeah.
my fighter out of the 66 is not the one? And the counter argument I heard, and this is on a podcast I listened to, is the one said, give me 4 V coins when I buy the game.
Yep.
So basically, I get a V coin for me and 3 of my friends to where, all right, guys, which 4 of these characters
Just buy your character outright.
do you want me to unlock so I can get my main? And then, because he's like, I'd be happy if I could just have my main, because it's not even another thing is like, I do this, the characters that challenge me.
No guarantee.
I don't get to pick unless the only one that gets me to guarantee is going through that classic mode tier, because I just picked the starter one. So like if it's the Donkey Kong tier, I just beat it with Donkey Kong until I get that character or wherever
Yeah.
he is on the tier. Like Sonic is second on the Mario one, but Bayonetta is third on the Mario one.
Yeah, I just think the fact that there's 62 characters to unlock is insane.
It is. But at the same
it's-
time,
and if it's what people want, that's okay. But
yeah.
I haven't really heard one way or the other of like, are people mad about this? Are people okay with it? What is that split? I haven't really heard. I honestly didn't know that this was really that big of an issue until you brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I've heard and seen online, the only ones that it really affects are the ones that are my main is one of the unlockable ones. The one I like, let's say, Simon from Castlevania is the guy I want to use.
Which for most people, they probably are going to be one you have to unlock.
But, and then also the ones that are like, well, I bought this to play with my friends, and we can't even, I got to unlock all the characters before everyone gets a choice. That otherwise it's just, all right, out of these 8 characters, who do you want to play?
Because that would be me. I would never unlock all the characters.
Really.
I wouldn't. How would I ever do it?
Playing the story mode. Like you don't think you'd get through the story
if it's
mode
gonna
the
take
20
me
hours?
I spent a
Mark,
year
Persona.
I spent a year playing Persona 5. The married man in the room who can play games on Sunday. And that's about it. I spent a year playing Persona 5. And this is not that far off if it's going to take me... Well, if it takes me 20 hours on the low end. That's a quarter of what I spent
60 on the high end.
But then add in the bathroom time.
Right? The bathroom time, there's a nice advantage there.
Right?
Or I guess the fact that I can sit next to my wife and be like, yeah, go ahead, watch another Kitchen Nightmares. I'm going to just play this.
I would so watch Kitchen
I would
Nightmares.
watch
We've been rewatching
I love that show.
Kitchen Nightmares.
I love Gordon.
It's fantastic. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
But, I just think, I don't think I would ever get through
We're
it.
just switching the show up to Kitchen Nightmares show now.
I can't imagine myself ever unlocking all those characters. And maybe I get to the point where I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
But, I imagine, I said to both of you, actually, before we were recording, that this morning I was looking at some stuff for the Switch, and I'm like, I could buy a Switch. And then I had to remind myself, don't do it. You barely play the Wii U that you have.
Right?
Don't go for it.
I'm in a very similar boat where it's accessible, but how much time would I put into it?
But exactly. And then I'm like, but I can play it on the couch. But anyways,
Yep.
I played it laying down yesterday.
there you go. So
But your couch is your bed. You have a unique
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you
I
could
think
also
about
lay on
that,
your bed
and
and
then
play it.
I think if I bought this
I
right
laid
now,
on my back and played it. I laid on my side and
God,
played
this
it.
is
It
such
really
a hard
didn't
point to
matter.
make. This
I'm gonna
really
interrupt you
simple
6 more
thing
times.
that's not even really
Ricky's
that
like, this
important.
game is just, it's
But
a
now
C2C
I've
game. It's
tried
a couch to
play
crap
it, and I'm just gonna keep trying. If I were to buy this right now, is all I'm trying to say
Sure,
is
Mark.
my wife and I would sit down, we would bust out the things, and we would be like, oh, there's only 8 characters? And we would just never probably play it after more than today.
What?
And
I feel
because
like
she would have zero interest in it.
See, and
In
that's
that case,
where
she would not have
Okay.
the interest in the casual person would have zero interest in going through
well,
it.
and the thing that I combat that with is my sister and her boyfriend who live together, and my sister always made fun of us for this stuff. Now she's magically into it. Now that her boyfriend is a gamer,
How long
how
have
that
they been
works.
together?
about a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, so that's actually, I'd say, that's longer than I expected.
Yeah,
I expected this to be like a new, she's trying to impress
No,
him
no,
kind
no.
of
They've
thing.
been together long enough to where they're probably going to get married, and they're looking at a house together. But
crazy.
with them, Linda's like, yeah, we just play. I play Jake, I beat Jake, and then we unlock fighters. Like, that would be fine. And with that, I'd be like, okay, I guess we'll just unlock them because I'm playing with someone.
Yeah.
But like me,
Which that would be nice.
Me by myself, I'm like, I've got no time. Let me just unlock all these fighters. So if I do play with Dave and Mark, I have all the fighters. Like, it's one of those things where I want to unlock all the fighters too. And that's where I think the problem comes from those people that are like, as I lost to Isabella with 430 left. So I didn't even get through the full 20. That's the problem with not playing against a number 2. But now I should be able to unlock more characters. Because that's the thing too.
That was painful
It's a
to watch.
distance meter. It's a distance meter.
Yeah.
That like you can't go into the settings and see where you're at.
No,
It's
no.
just an imaginary benchmark that you're at this distance
But now
meter.
you shouldn't have to do that anymore because now as you just play, you'll hit that distance meter. If there's only
like see,
four
new
more,
foe has appeared.
if there's only 4 more minutes, you're probably going to get to it by just playing normally.
Yeah.
now.
But
You could.
But my problem is because of this, I've had to do that twice because I've only
you up
gotten to
against?
10 minutes. I am up against Richter. So Simon and then Richter. My also side note.
Yeah.
I hate Simon and
This is
Richter.
all a side note.
I
Yeah.
hate Simon and Richter. The reason why going up against them, because of their chain weapon, they have got so much reach that it's impossible to get near them.
Yeah. Here's my thought and what I would love to see.
Yeah.
I just want to see of everybody who has their
The percentage
Super
of
Smash
unlocked,
Bros,
100%.
who has unlocked what percent. Like, you know, you can look at your trophies and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I got this trophy and it was only 2% of the population that got it. Or in Detroit
So
Become
how-
Human, and you
so
can
how
see
many
who,
have unlocked
what
everybody?
percent made the choice. I don't want to see how many. Anyway, I want to see the point. Like, how many got unlocked 10? How many unlocked 20? How many unlocked 50? You know, I want to see how far
Yeah.
people got and where they dropped off. Because
That'd be an awesome stat to actually
'Cause
find
I
if Nintendo could
severe-
release that.
Oh, they're never going to. 'Cause I don't think that would be
Bill soul crushing
that
for
would
some
be
people.
that'd be a lot of.
But do you think
negative
it's like
press.
an entitlement problem then? Because it's like, play the game, enjoy the game, and you're crying because you have to do work to get your characters unlocked. Like, I hear
think it
Ricky's point
depends.
about like, but if I want to play with my friends, like, yeah, well, when we played, like, we didn't have all the characters right away, you know, but we enjoyed what we had.
Yeah.
And that's the
where
old
I-
gamer in me is like, enjoy what you got. You got a fantastic game. They put time in to make a good story mode
Because
for
we're
you.
too old to game, Dave.
I know, so I can be a grumpy old man about
Yeah.
this and tell you to quit doing
But
that
I think
garbage.
at the same
Play the
time,
game.
there is I do agree that there's a little bit of entitlement to it, and I think gamers are kind of entitled. That's the whole Spider-Man suit thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
We delivered, though.
They did.
We did that.
We did that. But here, you just lost?
No, I won.
Okay, good. I saw your best.
That would have been terrible.
And now watch what I have to do. I click the home button.
We can't watch.
And I close
I'm the only one that can see it.
But I'm narrating. I've just closed out of the program.
Yep.
And I'm booting up the program again.
All right, you should put that away so we can have a congruent conversation here. All right. So, anyways, I do think the entitlement is something that's there, but at the same time, you do have the argument of, but if you actually take, I know I've got all my maps, I know I've got the modes, but I have. Because I'm not going to do the math. Let me do the math.
Here's the thing I'm going to bring up because you brought up the Spider-Man thing.
There's 11% of the characters that I can play.
There's the difference with the Spider-Man suits compared to this.
Yeah,
is the Spider-Man suits. Each of them had a unique thing where it's like, do this, unlock this.
These characters have unique abilities too.
No. I'm not saying abilities. I'm saying like, if I want the Iron Spider suit, this is what I have to do. If I want the Stark Tech suit, that's what I have to do. If I want this suit, this is what I have to do. Where this is just, hey, at random, after a while, you'll get a challenger. Do you know who it is? Nope, it's just going to be somebody.
I agree with you. Whatever podcast you're listening to, and I assume I know, but...
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, there's only one other podcast where you listen to. It's kind of funny. I agree with the whole, like, if you give me a token, 4 is ridiculous. Give me 1 token
and I'll buy
the game.
I'll give credit to Jarrett Petty, who he's the one that came up with that, which I wouldn't be against that, but it's like, is Nintendo going to do that? Where you get these 4 to get just 4 of the 66 that you want.
I will compromise on 1. I don't force, no, screw that. You get 1 token.
Like,
you get your one character.
You get your main. Okay.
Yeah, you're paying for your character. You get that as, great job, you paid for our game. You can play the game with this character in story mode from the get-go. You don't have to wait on RNGs as to, grant you the one you want. So
I just think it's kind of... I'm totally okay with having to unlock things.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Actually.
But when you have to unlock nearly 90% of the characters, that's a little much. That's a little much.
To keep playing the game.
But does it? That's what I want to know. How many people are
after
only
a while
getting...
just go, I'm going to move on to something. I'm going to move on to Zelda. I'm going to move on to this.
And that's the thing, too. There's good games on the Switch already. There's plenty of good games out in the world.
This is the best multiplayer game on the Switch, right? Sister Mario?
My sister said Mario Party sucked.
Mario Party's fucking awesome. Fuck
no,
your sister.
No, on the Switch.
On that one. Nobody talks shit about Mario Party.
She said the one on the Switch sucks.
I love Mario Party. No, but all that I'm trying to say is there's so many great games on there that people will move on pretty quickly.
But I mean, I think Super Smash Bros. Has a staying power. I mean, it's a cult classic for a reason. They do the tournaments, which are always fun. So
but
soon we'll have the tier list.
But that's a very small minority of people that play those.
I understand. I just think that there's always going to be interest there. But you may be right as far as the unlocks. I would bet you less than 50% of people have all the characters unlocked right now, and the game's been out for a month.
100%.
Yeah, the game, not even. It came out the 7th.
I would say less than half of the people who play the game are ever going to get to all those characters.
Or no, it came out the 12th. If you got the Ultimate Switch, you got the 7th.
Yeah.
Want to play that game? Guess a percentage. At the end, whatever you want to assume the end of the life is, what are you going to guess? What percent of players have unlocked all the characters?
Ooh.
I'll say 25 low, 40 high.
At the end of its life, I'm going to... Yeah, that's... I'd probably put it right at 30%.
Because there's 62.
100% of the characters, I'm going to guess about 10% of the people. 10 to 15%.
Wow.
Got all of them.
Got all of them. All 70 characters. All 62 unlocked.
That's impressive. I mean, that's...
And it also depends on, like, how long you play the game, too.
Right.
I go 25 at the low, because I feel like there will be enough casuals that throughout its entire life will play enough to have them all come.
I think over time, but... Mark might have the right point because of the quick rate of new games coming out, taking your attention. Like, how many people are going to stick with Super Smash Bros. Over time? Because you're like, oh, I just don't have like these 3 guys. Like, nobody's going to complain. I'm not going to be like, well, you don't got my main. Get your ass back to the game and beat it for me so I can play my character when we play multiplayer together.
And that's the problem with it, where it's like, let's say Mark did have a Switch. I have my character unlocked. Oh, Mark doesn't. So now if we're playing together, I have to find... And I get that this is first world problems. I'm not saying like it's a huge problem, but
Yeah.
you run into that too of like, all right, I don't get to play with the character I play as because X person doesn't have it unlocked.
Right. Well, I think that's about where we're going to land on that one. And the answer is we're unhappy about a lot of things.
Yep.
We have no solid conclusion.
I wouldn't say I'm unhappy with it. It does at times feel like a chore, but also I'm making it a chore because I want all of them.
And you don't want to play the game the way it was intended to be played.
Play the game after I unlock them all.
You don't want to play the game the way it was intended to be made.
When I'm unlocking the spirits, then I'll go ahead and play. Because I'm going to play World of Light. I'm the wrong person for it because
it's
I'm
funny
because when
you're
World
like, you're a completionist,
anyways.
and you're like, I don't have the time to do this.
Yeah, then why aren't you doing it then?
It's like,
that's my
ridiculous.
question. I mean, my thought is that, and I have to expand on this as Ricky has left the table.
Yeah, be my guest.
For everyone who's like, why is he still talking? My thought is like, if you're gonna play it anyways, why do you need to unlock
You don't want
to
cut me off.
first?
Apparently, I get cut off too much.
Is that a thing on this show or
different
just
show?
In general.
Yeah, because on the fast break, you know. But on this one, I think we do. I think I probably might do that a little bit. But anyways,
Well, when you have a point mark, you just come
I feel like
in.
we've cut
I
off
drive that shit
Mark about a dozen times this show alone, though.
Yeah, this is what I've been
trying to make
saving
one
up
point.
for. If you're gonna play the game anyways and beat the story mode, why are you going through this?
I told you why. I mentioned why for me. Because I don't want to play with Link, get used to Link, and then find my...
But then just play the story mode first.
No. I want all the characters so I can figure out my main first and then invest my time into that one character.
But I thought in World of Light you had to start... You only get to play as the characters you unlock in the story mode.
Yeah, but I will get... With that, that's all with the... I will unlock the spirits that way. I want all the characters now. Because if I'm going to play... Let's say I bring my Switch over to Dave's house...
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm going to want to pick for me and for the people I am playing with.
No, I get that
I
point.
want to have that.
I'm just thinking you could be devoting your time to the story.
I could easily devote myself to the story, but with me, I'm going to play the story anyways. I'll do that when it's time to unlock the spirits. I'm going to unlock all the characters now, though, this way, as quick as possible, because I'm one of those people. But I just wonder if we live in a... instant gratification world to where it's like that is why it's like give me what I want now. Why do I have to do this to get them all? Plus, is there too many unlockable characters? That's another debate for it.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyway, at least the good thing about the game is the party plays fantastic.
It's fun. I'm having a blast, and I haven't got to play against people yet.
All you've done is run back and forth against a computer.
I've actually played computers too.
We're selling this as all Ricky's done is run back and forth on the screen.
It's a lot of fun.
That's all he's doing.
I got to play the new characters.
That's all the man does, and he paid you $60 for that, $360. So
Very true.
Moving on.
Actually, his sister did. But
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
okay.
But moving on to a darker note, actually, Blizzard is going in the wrong direction as of late, some could say. They've recently offered a severance to multiple employees. They've canceled their Heroes of the Storm competitive scene. They've officially put that in like, we're no longer making any new content for this game anymore. They've pretty much guaranteed that Diablo 3 continually will keep getting, the short end of every stick available by saying, Diablo stuff's coming. It's a mobile game. Don't get your hopes up for Diablo 3 ever doing anything fun. Or Diablo 4 in the future. Yeah, we're going to not talk about that part. And it looks like this, the severance action kind of comes off of cost cutting from Activision, perhaps, is the one people are trying to shell Activision for this one. Rightfully or wrongfully so, I don't know. But it's interesting that such a historic gaming company in Blizzard, 30 plus years of point out fantastic games, and they're coming to this point where it's like they've always been like that, like Hydra effect. It's like they've got multiple heads of direction. They're spinning out games. Their new remaster version of Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, which looks beautiful. The World of Warcraft group, obviously, they have the Diablo team, Overwatch teams. Like they've got so much going on, and yet now it seems like they're hacking back in places where there's a lot of player enjoyment coming from like Heroes of the Storm and Diablo, obviously, but they don't seem to get much of the love. So with this in mind, do you think that Blizzard is, taking a step in the wrong direction here by focusing on a mobile environment moving forward.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, that's what I think, and I am. For those of you who don't like the language, I apologize for it, but that's what I think. Where the first thought I had was, did they not see the reaction at BlizzCon when they came out with that? Well, no.
And that's
like,
the counter argument is.
And that's the thing. Like,
mobile games are there for moneymakers.
This is an exact example of kind of like what we talked about with Insomniac, but that is a huge different. Like, it's not the same thing, but we kind of made that same point of it. Is like, this is Blizzard looking in the face of their players and saying, "Oh, we hear you. We don't care. We don't care what you want. We're going to do what we want." And this is them blatantly say that, where the Insomniac one had a lot of red tape and a lot of things that we didn't know what was going on behind the doors and stuff. This is Blizzard basically going, "Oh, you didn't like that mobile game that we announced for Diablo? Well, we're going to dive in headfirst to mobile games because that's what you really want, right?" After the fans have already disdained and given their displeasure with it, it seems like all they want is this, which, of course, that's business. But also, it's all right. You're not going to give me what you want. The only way we are going to make them pay for giving us what we don't want is by not buying the products and not playing the products. But I don't think that second one will ever happen. People will always play Blizzard products.
I mean, let me start with this at the easy end then. Do you think people hate the mobile game market because there hasn't been a top mobile game that gets everyone's attention? Like, there's nothing out there that they feel like is worth their time because it's just not well done.
The Blizzard community is not mobile people. That's what I feel. Like, it would be like us. So, like, MVP.
Yep.
Why right now is our, like, Rick and Johnny, a graphic conversation, I'll even say Too Old to Game.
Yeah.
We get far less views than our sports content because we started building up as a sports channel.
Yep.
Yes, we're building the other side of it because our vision has always been we're well-rounded individuals and sports isn't what we do 110%.
Yeah.
And they could, like, I don't want to bash them for if that's what they want. Oh, we want to make it a more well-rounded thing. But they have to understand their community right now is what it is. It would be like if we said, "Oh, we're going to build up Too Old to Game and Rick and Johnny. The fast break ain't coming out anymore. We're going to take a halt on that to do this." That's kind of like the Diablo 4 thing. I'm
getting frustrated just to hear you say that out loud. I
know,
like, man.
But that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're not like, it'd be different. It's like, hey, we're giving you what you like, but on top of that, we're venturing into this new area.
Right.
Like, that would be different
they're
than,
throwing
hey,
finances and resources. But the difference is that they're throwing finances and resources towards a market that is ripe for the pickings, in my mind, because the explosive growth of mobile games and cash transactions in them in places like China, Japan, all across Asia.
Which is really where a lot of the money making is for these mobile games.
That's what I'm thinking is this is a purely financial decision.
Yeah.
Mark, what do you think?
And I wonder, too, do they look at this as a demographic thing to say, hey, our hardcore gamers who loved, whether it's WoW, whether it's Diablo, whatever it might be, these people are not gamers anymore, essentially, because they start to age out.
Oh, okay.
They start to be like, I'm a perfect example. I do not have enough time to play as many games. I can't imagine having children and ever having time to play a game anymore either.
Unless you're going to play with your kids.
Which even still.
Which then I will force them to play games. Yeah. If anything, I will actually start to play games more often. But if they look at it and say, our demographic has aged out, these new type of gamers, they're over here and we're over here. On the right side, new gamers on the left side for our audio listeners. Let's move over to them. Let's do what they are doing. Let's release games where they are. The problem, I think, is you can't alienate the right side, the right-handed side for the left-handed side in this case. You should be doing both.
Yeah.
Even if you are going to more move over to the other way. But that's the big stuff that we saw with Konami and how big of a shit stain that was with the last couple Metal Gear games. Yeah. And how they said that PT, forget about it. And they just said, no, we're done with that. It's not going to ever be a thing. And then that led to Death Stranding. But anyways, we can see companies moving in this direction, and we see it with more microtransactions. This is just a more hardcore way to do it. And Blizzard's one of those companies where I do feel like they don't get the love and respect that they used to get necessarily. I mean, their games, I don't call them niche games or anything like that, but their games have a kind of more loyal fan base. That's a smaller fan base.
It's funny you mentioned
like a cult following.
Well, that's like Diablo fans. Like, they are a bunch of masochists. Like, you hear the fans, like the true hardcore fans from like Diablo 2, and like how pissed they were at Diablo 3's launch date. And how completely unhappy, how it was completely crap. It was just, it was like one of the worst launches ever from a Blizzard game. And the game state was terrible. But like Blizzard adapted. They changed the game. They kept making it better and better. And then they hit that point where it's like, cool, we're really happy with the game product. Keep it interesting for us. They carry them up with seasons. Like they listened to the customers. They adapted the game back and forth. And at the point where it now is like Diablo fans are like, we're ready for that next thing now. And they're like, cool, go pick up your cell phone then. And I feel like
it's like I said, like your fan base, your consumer, computer. Oh, wait, now play over here. It's like, it would almost be like if I said, oh, Dave, you've played computer. Okay, now go pick up a Switch, which I know they do have Diablo on the Switch. But that's like,
but I bought the game twice already.
That is different.
Third time's the charm.
Like, and I know people are going to say, well, Ricky, how is that different?
Yeah.
More people, I would say it's much easier to make a switch from PC to console than PC to mobile game, because mobile game is such a niche in itself.
But
it's going to get you money, but it's such a niche in itself.
But it's
the only person I know that plays mobile games, there are two. He plays Balls, and my mom plays Bubble Witch. That's it. That's the only two people I know.
Mobile gaming actually is where the vast majority of gamers are.
It's the most accessible platform. And I think it's an area where
everyone's got a phone.
Everyone's got a smartphone. Like, it's one of those areas where it's like, I'm surprised we haven't seen a truly great, well-rounded game come out on mobile that like takes over.
I would argue
we hit
there
the Clash
are great
of Clans
games on mobile.
Perhaps, but maybe they're
You're
not
just
getting
not
attention.
playing them.
I'm not playing. I'm not paying attention.
Same people that say punk rock is dead. There's great punk rock bands. You're just not listening to
That's
them.
a fair argument, Mark. I don't have my eyes open to the world of mobile games. But no, it's like for me. It just turns into like, if there are those games, how come they're not grasping the market share? And maybe they are elsewhere. It's just not here. But I'm like, it's the most accessible thing. You spend the most time in your day with your phone. Like, if I leave my phone for like half an hour, I'd be surprised. Like, I'm always within 10 feet of my phone. It just stays with me.
It's like an attachment of your body.
Exactly.
Pretty much is.
So why wouldn't, people make games there and then microtransactions and then just roll in the dough?
Look at the phenomenon of Pokemon Go. I mean, that's the first one you got to think of when you think about the successful mobile gaming.
And then it became a Switch game.
It did become a Switch game, but it was so successful and it was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Everybody, people who have never played Pokemon were playing Pokemon Go.
It was like the greatest 2 weeks.
Yeah. I knew people who had teenage children that the parent were playing Pokemon Go. They had no idea anything about Pokemon, but their kids were playing it, so they're like, okay, I guess I'll play this too. So I understand what you're doing. People, like, you can have that type of moment. Yeah. People got so excited when we had Mario. I forgot what the actual app was called.
Mario game on
Mario
Switch,
Run or something like that on your mobile. People were so excited about that. There's a lot of
we do have
potential
Fortnite on the phone now too.
Yep, we do. Fortnite on the phone. There's a ton of potential to do more stuff with mobile and for more people to come into it. And when you just look at the demographics, sure, there are kids who have a Switch. There are kids.
You want to lean into the mic for that one?
Yeah, right.
Me?
Was that you?
No, that was all me. And
oh my God.
I'm mid talking as I do this. I
thought that was Dave's stomach over there. I was going to say, you hungry?
No, it wasn't my stomach. It was my throat.
Okay.
He had a burp working up.
It was my throat.
Dave looked at me. I looked at him.
We just do each other. Sorry.
So, anyways, to go back into what we were talking about, which is, I don't even remember at this point, mobile games.
Yes.
Punk rock
mobile
is
game
not,
phenomenon.
Punk rock is not dead,
No,
Mark.
there's just so much potential there. If you can be one of these big ones that do it,
Let's innovate
you can
a mobile
capture
game.
Everybody.
Let's do it. That's how Tool to Game's going to become famous. We're actually going to get really into mobile game development.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to roll in the cash.
I mean, it's a lot easier probably to develop a mobile game than it is to like get the rights to develop something on the Switch.
Probably.
Get your dev kit and all that.
Should we be mad at Blizzard for doing this? Or are they just a step ahead of the game in front of other large game dev companies?
If you're a loyal Diablo fan, you should be. Like, and it's just like, I'm going to go back to my first point. It would be different if they were like, all right, we're still thinking about you, but we're also doing this. It kind of just seems like they're going, nope, we're going to forget about you. Oh, Warcraft, you get something new. Overwatch,
but it's not even new.
Like,
it's a remake.
Yeah, but everyone
it does look kind of
they're
cool,
also
my God.
we're also getting Vanilla WoW. Don't forget about that either.
We're going back.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
So Warcraft, you get a new thing that you're excited about. Overwatch, I feel like, I know that everyone goes like, Overwatch is dead and I don't play Overwatch anymore. There's still a big community that plays Overwatch and is always happy with like the new characters that come out and the stuff that
they've invested heavily into the
get new stuff
and the merch and seasons.
Really, it's just Blizzard shit on the Diablo market and go, hey, we don't care
and
about
here's
you.
The storm.
Now it would almost be like you've got 3 children.
Yeah.
And the middle child is just getting shit on.
Yeah,
like the younger child gets everything, the older child's getting new stuff, the middle child, and then the second you think, now's my time. Today is my day to rue the day.
Summer of George.
We're having a new, like, mommy's pregnant, we're having a new baby. What the fuck?
Here's my thought, though.
You're getting kicked out of your room, go live in the garage.
Right? Why do Diablo fans feel like they were ever going to get love from Blizzard? Blizzard's never given them love since, I mean, look at Diablo 2 and then Diablo 3 way after.
The gap.
You've gotten nothing.
Gameplay
Same thing with
difference.
StarCraft. You've gotten nothing from them.
I even forgot about StarCraft.
They don't care about you.
I mean, Here's the Storm was
Like,
the failure,
in the same
Dota
way,
clone.
Right? They don't
with
care
their
about
own
you
IP.
in the same way that they're caring about these other ones, which are making them more money. But the other thing is, we were just talking about entitlement for feeling like you deserve all 70 characters. Isn't this the exact same thing? The company can do whatever the company wants to do. Why do you feel entitled that they should release something on the system that you play on instead of the emerging one that more people have?
It's weird. I came into this segment angry at Blizzard, and I think I'm leaving understanding, like,
I understand.
Just think I'm like, now I'm like,
it
you know
makes
what?
sense.
I can't be mad at them. I understand why they made the move. I don't like the move, but I can't
Exactly.
be mad at them for it.
You can be mad at them. I mean,
No, I mean,
I think
You can be mad at the situation, but I don't think you should be mad at the company because the company's just
they're changing
doing
directions. They're adapting to.
They're trying to survive in the future. Just like we can be mad that, we look at Steam and we're like, man, I really wish Valve would just release Half-Life 3 after all. And it's like,
never going to happen.
it's never going to happen. You can be mad that it's not going to happen, but you shouldn't be mad at Valve because they're doing something where they make more money.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting situation. I do hope that, their next mobile ventures will be a little more well done than the reskin game that we're getting for Diablo. But, we'll wait and see. I'm hopeful, though. I really am. I think that, mobile gaming probably deserves a better chance than I've given it. So I'm hoping that Blizzard does roll out something nice and shiny for me in the near future.
Yeah.
But final topic of the day.
Speaking of shitty things.
Wow, this is just a crap fest today. It's like fucking entitled kids in Super Smash Bros. Blizzard shitting on people's days. And now let's go over to the world of Atlas.
this one is the real, like, this one takes the king, I think.
We sort of knew what we were getting into with Atlas, the video game. It's from the creators of Ark. We just didn't know it would just be Ark reskinned with pirates. Like, literally, they use the same game menus.
Should they just have called it Ark? Like, should they just have called it, like, Ark and then made up some pirate name for it? Like, would that have been a little
Ark
bit
of
better?
Archimedes?
Would that have...
Jesus, Mark.
would that
That would have been the best name.
Would that have been a little bit better, or would
I
that
think the
have just been...
expectation. Well, the problem I think was they put out these expectations that, like, you know how I fell in love with, like, Sea of Thieves in, like,
Yes.
early beta alpha
And then it
steps.
was not so hot.
Well, they went from, like, we're gonna have this open world where you can sail, you can do all these cool things, and you get to go in pirate ship battles.
You wanted I to get it. You wanted Johnny to get it.
I
'cause he
wanted
had an
everyone
Xbox.
to get it because you could go cross between Xbox and Xbox and PC on the same system, basically. So it was this cool thought of, like, open world pirating. You're going for treasure. You're doing puzzle solving. You're fighting, and it's all skill based. So there's The problem was because it's all skill-based, there's no progression, and the servers were so small that you could only have like 4 ships out there at once.
Yeah.
And that really limited down the creativity and the excitement. And they've rolled out new DLCs or expansions to that game to build it out. But, you know, what Ark is known for is like, we're going to make a fucking world, and you're going to live in it, and you're going to struggle through it. It's a survival system, and like, the limitation is your creativity. The problem here is with this Atlas game, that they literally just reskinned it and did a poor job of it. There's tons of videos out there of players going through the start menu basically and hitting an imaginary option that's not actually there, which takes you to the Ark menu for options. And it's like, oh, come on, you could have done better. Like, you really didn't try very hard at this. It's just incredibly disappointing. And a game, you know, along the lines of like Black Sails. There was so much around pirates as of late. Like it was a big like
weird
trend.
one that showed up.
Yeah, it was a big trend that came back. So it was like they're trying to capitalize on that. But by reskinning an existing property that they already owned and doing dick with the gameplay, the servers were garbage on launch. They paid Twitch streamers to play the game, in which if you watch, and I will admit I was one of those people who checked in a couple times, hopeful to see some fun gameplay. You watch them at a freaking menu screen trying to find servers for 8 hours. It was crap. Like, they just cut it. Just done. You're done. So that's me venting about this game. Based off of that.
Because you like those games.
Oh, my God.
You're a survival
I'll
game
hit
guy.
you. I enjoy watching people in the survival worlds. I will hit you with the positives of that after this. I want to get the frustration out. So for you guys, when you hear me talk about a game with this kind of potential and the storyline and
it's just pure laziness.
Build your own adventure.
It's pure laziness. Like, and that to me is just from a studio and the developers of that game. I would feel, if I was a fan of Ark, I would almost feel like any other game you come out with, I'm not going to take seriously. I'm not going to be hyped about it.
Don't trust them.
Because you don't trust them. You're showing now that you're lazy. You're just trying, like, if I had to pay for it, you're just trying to get my money. And you're basically throwing any credibility you got from Ark, you're throwing that out the window. You're flushing it down the toilet, whichever analogy you want to use, just because you wanted to cash in on this pirate trend. Like, is that it? Is that what we were trying to go with? So with me, it's really the whole entire, I don't know if it's necessarily like, is it the devs? Is it the game company behind it? But it's like, I've lost my trust in you and I'm never going to trust you again.
And I think that there's some question of skill in that case. Like, you really can't come up with another game. Like, you really can't come up with fresh stuff. You just had to reskin it. And that's perfectly fine. Just make it a mod or something then of it. You know, just make it a DLC. Just give us a new version and you can still advertise that and be excited about it. But yeah, to me, it's just very similar. It just feels lazy. It feels like apparently you don't know what you're doing. And you don't have the ability to do something else. You're just desperate for money.
They're
and
a
hoping to
one-hit
get something.
wonder, basically, and it's really frustrating because they have the potential to do so much with like what they put into games, and see them roll out basically sloppy reskin and with very little balancing done towards it, and the gameplay itself struggles. There's lots of bugs, obviously, from it. Mass refunds for like Steam. The whole thing is like, they're usually very, you know, like, hey, you bought the game. If you've played it for more than X hours already, like, we're not going to give you a refund. The only exceptions in my mind that I can recall are literally No Man's Sky and this game now, where you can have more than 10 hours played and they will give you a full refund still. So, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot to be frustrated about with the game. And I think that the lack of balance and so little effort went into like actually building the game out that it just leads to a really frustrating product. And I'm glad the community is kind of rising up and getting pissed at them publicly and raising enough stink, because it's kind of a thing that's like, hey, you can't do this to people anymore. Like, consumers have more of a voice, and I'm glad that they're now, again, it's always that old like vote with your wallets. Like, yeah, don't pay money for garbage games, even though it gets hyped up, and they ran the full hype cycle.
Well, and it also goes into, I've brought this on the podcast before, is I've heard like Gary Whitta say this, of basically the whole don't be the guinea pig. Like, when you buy a game at release, no matter what game it is, you're the guinea pig. You're the one they're going to test this out on. So it's like, if Atlas, you were unsure about it, don't buy it at launch. Let the people who are going to buy it right away be the guinea pig. And then after those first reviews come in, after they fix their mistakes, then buy it. I mean, it's not...
Because everybody patches nowadays.
Yeah, depending on what game. Like Spider-Man was a game I was fine being the guinea pig for. God of War, being the guinea pig for.
The thing that's terrible is like the early access stuff looked promising. And that's the problem is when when it's like, we're going to give these Twitch streamers early access to this small thing.
We freaked out about the puddles.
Well,
freaked out about the puddles, and then it was fine.
The graphics were just, it was not real.
But the game we got, no one, like, all those complaints went away. So it's like...
When you complain about a puddle graphic, that means the gameplay is tight.
Like, it worked.
Like, that was literally the biggest complaint. You're right. Like, we made a big deal out of that because there's literally nothing else that was wrong in that game.
Like, that one was a positive, this one's a negative. Where
this
it was
game
like,
had
it looked great, and now it's negative. Where that was like, we're freaking out about puddles.
Yeah,
but it's
because
also
there's nothing else to get mad at.
Yeah, it's also you're just looking for something to get upset about.
They did have a cool concept though, and that's one I kind of want to hit on, which is like land grabs. Basically, in the open world, you could stake a claim on pieces of land, build on them, and if people wanted to try to take your land, like you could literally like mini war it out.
Yeah.
And already like why you were saying like don't buy day one, don't be the tester. The problem was with this game, if you weren't in there day one on a server, like
you couldn't
by day 4, there's no land left in the open world basically. Yeah. So like they made a rush basically. They made the supply small enough that the demand, everybody's just bumming to hit those servers and you couldn't get in. So yeah, it feels like a big whiff on a great opportunity.
But that would be different if the game was actually quality. Like if the game was quality,
well, you didn't know it wasn't quality.
I know. But like hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
If it was quality, I would look back at that and go, man, that is a great innovation to their game. But what it turned into is, I know why they did that. They wanted people to buy it because if they didn't, no one would buy it.
I mean, it's still a good innovation to a game. It's still a great innovation for this style of game. It's just they didn't execute it well.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's disappointing. I'm glad I kind of got it all out there. Sorry, it was a little bit of heavy.
Well, because like the positive, you go with the positive.
Yeah. So I am a huge fan of the survival games. I think they're immensely fun, mostly because it's very creative. It's how much can you put into the game basically versus
you write your own story.
Yeah. So you can go and you build your own thing, you do your own thing, and you interact with other live people. Conan was one of the ones that was one of my favorites watching. And like there's this group of guys, very big YouTubers, like Lyric was one of them. And basically they had their own clan on like day one Conan. And they went in on the server, and it was a server with a bunch of other streamers. So you had all the personalities. And it was like, okay, I'm going in there, and our group we're going to try to, stock up on these resources. We're going to explore over here in this new world and look at this cool stuff. And then we're going to build up our castle here. And we're going to bogart like people from going past this point. Like we're going to be like, F you if you try to come this way, we'll murder you. And then it's like, okay, as it kept building, and other tribes would do like raids on them, and they'd like break through and steal their stuff. And it creates that in-world conflict that's just so much fun to play around with, because it's like, okay, well, if these people are online at this time, like when can we swing by their base and steal their stuff or break down their entire base? And as you go and you keep exploring deeper in the game, you keep building better castles. Like they were full on like architecture stuff of like Minas Tirith scale. Like I'm talking insane levels of like, it was just awesome. The scale, the craziness of like the resource management. It was a game where you were going out and you're going, okay, I need to go get, 40 tons of stone, 15 tons of wood, and 30 things of like whatever resource to build up this piece of my structure or to build my next thing so I can continue building in this vein. And there's so much cool stuff because it was like an unlock system. As you went further you got, the better stuff you could build. It's just one of those things that kind of, I don't know. It really intrigued me, and if the community was hardcore, and there were several hardcore people, like it was probably a 3-week thing for me. Like I would go home from work, I would turn that on, I would do everything I needed to do for the rest of the day, and I'd literally have that on for like 5-6 hours at a time at night, every night, and it was just like, this is my entertainment. I'm hooked more on this than any TV show, any story, anything.
The thing I liked about them is like when I this was maybe about, 5 years ago? It was when Five Nights at Freddy's was just coming up, like the first one. Markiplier would play those games, like Ark and stuff. And it would be like, those would be great games for the charismatic streamers, the charismatic Let's Players of like, if you can entertain me, then yeah, like that would be a game I could watch. Because me personally, with me as a player, I've never been big on like those survive. Because I get in the game and I go, all right, what do I do? Well, Ricky, survive. Well, no, yeah, but what do I do? Where it's like I kind of need like an objective. Like I'm the type of person I need an objective. Like I liked WoW and the PvE because it's like, we're playing together, but it's like, okay, I know exactly what we're gonna have to do. It's not necessarily like, hey, I'm gonna teach you all the mechanics, like press A to do this and handhold in that way, but I have a clear objective. This is what I need to do compared to, all right, what do we do? All right, explore. No, but what's my objective? Like, that's how I am. It's just how my brain is wired. I need an objective, and once I finish that, what's the next objective?
So you can't play D&D with this guy.
I know. That's why I was going to say, like, he's just screwed when it comes to that. Which is a bummer because it's like, you know, for me, it's like, what's cooler than just your spawn there? You're basically, like, in, like, tattered clothes, and you're like, all right, I've got this entire world in front of me to explore. Like, how do I want to do this? Do I want to go and build a small house here while I gather resources? Or do I want to plunge myself deep in against monsters which are way stronger than me and try to risk it to build up and get like the edge on the market on something that nobody else has?
These games, I become you. You know how you're always like, you like to watch people rather than play? These are games I'd rather watch someone play than play myself. Because if they're entertaining, then it's the best game in the world. But it's like, if it's not the most entertaining person, then you're like, this game kind of sucks. Like, that's in my mind where it's like, these to me are the ones I'd rather watch a fun person play.
That's
and
fair.
I could watch a favorite streamer play for hours.
That was my form of entertainment for like 3 weeks. I was just totally hooked on the game. So when it's done right, it's awesome. But I think the thing that's like, we need to keep going with this genre. I'm glad that survival stuff isn't totally dead. But I want bigger servers. I want more than 40 people caps. I want, 100 people on a server at once. I want the world as big as the Atlas world is, maybe.
Yeah.
But done in a way that everyone can interact with it and without choppy video and choppy graphics and just, really well-polished version of that would be wonderful because I think there's so much that you can do with that kind of a universe. And that's, that's sort of where I leave that off at. Like the build your own, make your own adventure shit. Is always just the most fun thing in the world for me.
And like with me, if I was going to play it, like I feel like I would have a better time playing it if it was like, okay, Mark, Dave, all three of us are going to play it together. And okay, what are we going to do? Rather than me on my own, like, all right, I'm on my own. Yeah. Like, and it just kind of seems
and that's kind of how it's designed.
Isolation, where I'd rather play with people than at that point if I'm going to play a survival game. Yep. Like, okay, we're in together. What are we going to do?
That's fair. I don't know. I love it. I was trying to think of what's the game that played in space. It's got like basically its own universe, its own storylines now. I can't remember the name of the game, and it's killing me.
I don't know.
Oh my god, it's gonna kill me.
Dead Space?
No.
Is that what you're thinking of?
No. This is Eve. Eve Online. Yeah. Like that's game. You start off very, you've got nothing basically, and you're in a world that's already now populated because it's been out forever. But that's a game that basically they have their own lore now. They've got their own universe. They've got everything is like it's written into stories. There's a book series based off of what's happened in Eve Online. Like that is what truly impressed me. Like that's like the mecca of like they've done this right. It's just such an established universe after like a decade of gameplay online, and it's awesome. That's what I really would love to see because it's super captivating to me that people come up with these storylines and like the intrigue and the drama out of there. Like Eve Online, we don't have time to do a whole thing on Eve Online because there's a universe out there. My brother got me into it and it's super entertaining. But like, they've had things where people steal millions of dollars worth of in-game stuff and they cash out and they screw over, basically their for a WoW term, like their guild, basically.
So like they go into the guild bank, steal it all, and sell it for real money.
But it's like spaceships, $100,000,
like
tens of thousands of dollars
like
spaceships.
Real in-world money or real
they trade,
in real life money.
They trade the in-game item for real-world money, and they cash out basically. Or they sell it to a different federation. Like there's so much stuff where it's like there's backstabbing, there's these giant wars going on. There's so much of a world out there that's like, if you give people the creativity and the platform, like they can make something truly awesome. And that's what I would love to see in a survival game, something along the lines of what Eve did online. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end it because I've ranted for like 20 minutes now.
Hey,
I feel.
sometimes this is the great thing about this podcast. When we've got something that's on our mind, we can just kind of rant and rave about it.
That'll do it, though, for episode 25 of Tool to Game. Thank you so much for your support. If you could, check us out on iTunes. It really goes a long way. Love to get another review. Love to get another rating up there. But I'm Dave Oster for Ricky Widmer, Mark Weber. We'll catch you next time.